Brett Provenzano, and I am the very proud superintendent of the Fairport Central School District, and I keep saying that because I am just always overwhelmed when we have incredible events where we can come together as one Fairport family to celebrate, honor, and acknowledge all the wonderful things that occur in our district, and it starts with our people. I'm going to ask Peter Forsgren, our Board of Education President, to do some opening welcoming comments. Peter Forsgren, our Board of Education President.
Thank you. He says he's a proud superintendent. I am the proud member of the school board. It's wonderful to work here. Thank you for being here tonight. In Fairport, one of the greatest things we have is we have many things we get to celebrate, people we get to honor, and it makes it just wonderful to live here as we do that, right? And today is no different, but we honor academics, we honor sports achievements, we honor musical talent, of which we have plenty of, as we've noticed. But tonight's something different, isn't it, when we think about it? I think tonight what we honor and celebrate is something that, to put a word around, it's like the multiplication factor or a pay it forward type situation, right? That we're honoring people here who have touched the lives of individuals who then can turn around and touch the lives of many others, right? Whether it be a librarian who helps a teacher prepare a better lesson, and then that better lesson goes to 20 or 100 students or whatever it might be, and social workers and teachers are bound, always touching lives. It's a wonderful reason to gather here tonight, and I thank you for being here and welcome you, and look forward to hearing more about what has been accomplished. Thank you very much.
Let's get down to some business here. We're here tonight at the Education Wall Distinction Ceremony to honor the enduring contributions of Elizabeth Cannon Bailey, Dennis Bielowitz, Janet King, and Jean Whitney, our guests of honor. The Education Wall Distinction now is in its 13th year. It is our simple way to say thank you. Thank you for making the days meaningful by your very presence. Thank you for realizing that you are part of a bigger picture here in Fairport by modeling unconditional love, care in all its forms, and a deep commitment to serve the children of Fairport, your colleagues, and the Fairport community. In Fairport, we value the intangibles and pay homage to the things that you cannot always measure. We understand that the macro and even the subtle yet very important micro gestures occurring daily make a difference to the quality of the experiences of those people around us. These four individuals are culture carriers. They have gained the respect and admiration of countless children, family members, and their colleagues. To our Honorable Wall of Distinction Committee members, thank you for giving me the opportunity to preside over tonight's celebration. I would ask those committee members that are here, please stand. Our committee members, Diane Dudley, who's the chairperson, Jerry Lynn Boynton, Susan Casement, Bob Clark, Mark Crane, Barb Fila, Susan Meyer, Paul Myers, Maureen Nupp, Tom Palma, and Tracy Ting. There are 73 inductees to the Education Wall of Distinction. If you are a former member of this distinguished recognition, please stand and be recognized. It's wonderful to see everyone come back home. To our Board of Education, thank you for making the ideals embedded in this evening the priority. Thank you for empowering all of us to recognize and celebrate each other. It doesn't happen without your vision and high expectations. The stories of our nominees are unique and are forever woven into the tapestry of our dynamic community. Their personal message is worth sharing, celebrating, and emulating. Their stories make us strive to be better and live up to the time-honored values that are so deeply woven into our school community. I am looking forward to hearing their stories as depicted from our student reps who will present their awards. Our student reps include Brendan O'Connor, who will be talking about Dennis Bielewitz's fierce enthusiastic commitment to education and the process of learning. Brendan, say hello. Hannah Socker will present how Betsy Cannon has earned the respect of children and families by being a loyal advocate. Tessa Vasta will convey the heart and passion of Janet King. Abby Kirkezi will detail Jean Whitney's relentless dedication to her students and to our profession. If one comes to Fairport, one would recognize a unique and palpable heartbeat. We often tout that we are a family, and true to form, as families do, we come together to celebrate and honor each other. We are affirming the many gifts that Dennis, Betsy, Janet, and Jean have bestowed upon countless colleagues and the children in Fairport schools. We anticipate hearing their stories and sharing in their joy tonight. Now for the presentations. We have Brennan come forward and recognize Dennis Bielowitz.
Good evening, everyone. Dennis Bielowitz worked as a librarian at Fairport High School for 30 years. Dennis grew up as one of 10 children in a poor area of Buffalo. He went to public schools there through the age of 11. Then his family moved to Portageville, where he attended a 2-room schoolhouse for a few years. Dennis moved again and graduated from Nunde. Then, Dennis attended the University at Buffalo for a year before he was drafted by the military to help in the Vietnam War. Dennis served on the communications platoon within the Nuclear Missile Battalion. After being stationed in Germany for 3 years, Dennis returned to the United States and graduated from the Geneseo Library School. While in college, Dennis interned at various libraries, but decided that working in a high school would allow him to continue his passion for communication and research with his love for working with kids. As a result, Dennis began working at Fairport High School in 1974 as a librarian, and he worked there through his retirement in 2004. During his time with Fairport, Dennis achieved a great deal and inspired tremendous change throughout the district. Dennis emphasized that everything he accomplished involved a great team, and he was honored and humbled to work alongside such incredible staff and such remarkable people for his 30 years as librarian. Along with his team, Dennis fully automated the FHS library from a system based on card catalog to one based on technology that utilized barcodes and automation. Dennis even taught himself programming in order to make this feat happen. In addition to the automation of the library, Dennis took real pride in a multimedia orientation seminar that introduced Fairport students to the newly automated FHS library, but also prepared them to utilize libraries all over the country. During his tenure, the Fairport Public Library closed for renovation, so Dennis and his team offered the FHS library as the public library for 3 nights each week. As a result of Dennis's work, the FHS library won a state award for coordination, cooperation, and collaboration. Additionally, in 1999, Dennis was accepted to teach in Poland for the summer, and his son served as his teaching assistants. Dennis taught children ranging from 10 to 18 years old about American English and how to live in an independent capitalist society. Throughout his career, Dennis was involved with and responsible for so many events that remain Fairport traditions to this day. For example, Dennis helped a friend, Jim Nowak, a social studies teacher, because Jim was having some trouble keeping one of his classes engaged. So Dennis and Jim dressed up as the Blues Brothers and performed for the class. Everyone involved loved the routine so much that this bit continued at lunches, the Christmas concert, and eventually developed into the lip-syncing at pep rallies that we all know and love today. Their Blues Brothers performances were such a hit that they began doing a program in the gym and auditorium as a fundraiser. As a result, they raised thousands of dollars for the Lost Boys in Sudan, the Advent House, the Peace Club, and so many other great organizations and causes. Another example of Dennis shaping the Fairport culture was his involvement in the implementation of Red Ribbon Week. Dennis worked closely with the teachers that developed Red Ribbon Week because of the importance of educating children about the dangers of alcohol and other drugs. In addition, as a research and information expert, Dennis helped explain and teach the research portion of the leadership class to the early groups of leadership and traveled down to DC with them. However, Dennis didn't just help with the leadership course. He worked with teachers across all disciplines to educate students and to help teachers deliver the best lessons that they could. Another Fairport tradition that Dennis started was Memorial Grove, which is a tree garden at the bottom of Angel Hill. Each time a member of Fairport family is taken from us too soon, a tree is planted in their memory. Dennis began this incredibly powerful tradition in the 80s with a friend, and it has continued ever since. When I asked Dennis about some advice for others, Dennis mentioned fully immersing yourself into whatever you do, because something is only as good as what you put into it. He truly reflected this idea through his tremendous commitment to his work and his involvement as an advisor for Media Club, International Club, and the Student Council. Dennis loved getting to work with kids on an informal basis because there's so much to learn from them and they keep you young. Dennis emphasized that you should always be positive and helpful because with any kind of small impact you make on someone's life, you've truly made a difference. Dennis's energy and enthusiasm made an overwhelmingly positive difference on everyone that he interacted with. Dennis fostered the Fairport community and culture that we are so fortunate to have today, and his impact lives on through the multiple traditions that he's been involved with developing. Dennis wanted me to mention that none of his success would have been possible without his incredible wife, Sherry, and his amazing children, Missy, Paul, and Matt. Dennis also wants to thank all the remarkable staff he worked alongside for making his job easier and even more enjoyable. And so it's my honor to introduce to you the newest member of the Fairport's Education Wall of Distinction, Dennis Bielowitz.
I'm going to ask Hannah Socker, please come forward to recognize Betsy Cannon Bailey.
Hello, everyone. Betsy Cannon Bailey is a dedicated social worker in the Fairport Central School District. She has worked in Fairport schools for about 19 years and has worked in several of the buildings. Being the youngest of 8 children, it was evident to me that Betsy has strong family values. In fact, when asked who she'd like to thank for her success, she didn't hesitate to say her husband Tom and her 4 children, Sydney, Tyler, McKenna, and Abby. She told me that she never would have been able to reach the place she is in her career if it weren't for their constant support and them always being flexible towards her crazy work schedule. Betsy attended high school in Elmira and furthered her education at the University at Buffalo. Ever since then, Betsy has worked hard to help both children and families become more aware of their emotions and how to handle difficult situations. Betsy has worked at both high school and elementary levels in Fairport, so it's clear that she has touched the lives of a diverse amount of students in the district. She currently works at Brooks Hill Elementary School and works with kids from the day they enter kindergarten to help develop them into self-sufficient and independent individuals by the time they move on to middle school. When I asked Betsy if she preferred working with a certain age more than another, Betsy told me that she has enjoyed working with all different age levels. No matter the age, Betsy works diligently and passionately to create civilized and self-aware citizens of our society. Her work is obviously extremely important for the well-being and the success of our future as a community. Betsy shared with me that she hasn't had one major accomplishment in her career, but has had a bunch of little victories that keep her motivated to help the next child in need of her services. She gave me an example of a little boy at Brooks Hill who is now in 5th grade. When this little boy first entered kindergarten, he would scream in the classroom, throw objects at both the students and teachers, and was a major distraction to the rest of the kids. Betsy made it her mission to help this troubled child, and by the 3rd grade, he no longer had to go see her because he could control his emotions on his own and knew how to handle a frustrating situation without throwing objects and screaming as loud as he could. I'm confident that young boy will be able to thrive socially in middle school due to the fact that Betsy worked each day with him and constantly had his best interest in mind. Betsy told me that her favorite part of being a social worker is being able to see people that she's worked with in the past thriving in their adult lives as independent and conscious citizens. When I asked Betsy what her advice would be for others in order for them to reach her level of success, she told me that the most important thing is to be a lifelong learner. No matter what field you are in, the only way to be truly successful is to take advantage of learning opportunities because research is always changing. People need to seek out new information and take it upon themselves to continue being educated. At the end of my interview with Betsy, I asked her if there was anything she'd like me to share in addition to the questions I had already asked her. I was extremely impressed with her response to this question. She told me that she was extremely honored to be receiving this award, but truly didn't think she was more deserving than any of the other teachers, counselors, and social workers in the district. Betsy was confident in telling me that Fairport has some of the most dedicated educators in the county and thinks that they should all be recognized. Her response to this question truly revealed her selfless character to me, and it's obvious that she brings that awareness and generosity towards her job. She is truly deserving of this award, and I'm extremely honored that I was chosen to speak on behalf of all the success that she has had. I'd like to personally thank Betsy for improving the lives of so many kids in the Fairport Central School District, and would also like to congratulate her on this prestigious award. Thank you.
Thank you very much. To continue to talk about the very important contributions and the impact of their work together as colleagues, I'm going to ask Susan Casement, the FEA president, to come forward to continue to develop some of the ideas embedded in this incredibly prestigious award. Susan Casement.
Good evening, honorees, Jean, Janet, Dennis, and Betsy. And good evening, family, friends, colleagues, and students of our honored recipients. A revered past president of our Board of Education, Matt DiRizio, who was a member of the Tiberio family, hosted a meeting in his home in June of 2004. He wanted to discuss his ideas for honoring people who made a difference in the Fairport Family School District. Among a small group of attendees sharing ideas and hopes were our FEA past president, John Baines, and the chair of this committee now, Diane Dudley. Not letting the impetus get away from them, by September of that year, a first meeting was held, bylaws produced, and committee membership developed. A model of committee work, I would say, right? At that time, it was determined the superintendent and FEA president were always committee members, and it's a true honor. Diane Dudley is the only original member who remains on this wonderful committee. Since 2010, her passion and commitment have steered the effort with heart and grace. And for her dedication, we owe her our gratitude. Thank you, Diane. One can imagine John Baines mulling his words for the title of the wall. And distinction was the choice. It had to be distinction, as it is the idea of excellence that sets someone and something apart in a significant way. And tonight we have 4 recipients who merit the accolade due to their life's work. The original creators of the wall wanted to honor people who may not have received other awards due to their quiet dignity, and who may have, due to their quiet dignity and unassuming ways. But these are the teachers among us who are models of the true professional, with excellence running through their beings without apparent effort. They are the kind-hearted teacher with time for every child, as if it was the first time he or she had ever heard such a story. They are the distinguished educator who uses time to produce a magical classroom or professional office. They are the friend with time to encourage every colleague with humor and compassion. And they are the expert who takes time to enthusiastically participate in professional endeavors. They remind us daily why we enter teaching and the field of education. Jean, Janet, Dennis, and Betsy, tonight's award is an accomplishment of distinction. We are privileged to honor each of you. We hope to embody what you represent each day of your careers. We thank each of you for your graciousness and congratulate you on your distinguished and distinct careers. Congratulations.
Now for the second half. I'm going to ask Tessa Vasta, please come forward to recognize Janet Webster King.
Hello, everyone. So, Mrs. King started teaching 6th grade at Joanna Perrin Middle School in 1990, and 28 years later, she's still there. Now, Mrs. King is the 6th grade lead teacher and is teaching English and science. Mrs. King has also served as an interim assistant principal as well as a strategic learning specialist, but she always returns to the classroom due to her passion for teaching. Mrs. King also co-advises the 6th grade science club and the Asset Leader program. She facilitates the IST and is a co-coach for the PBIS team. She has also supported students by writing curriculum, implementing the listening post, and developing the STAR program. Along with earning this honor of being inducted into the Fairport Educators Wall of Distinction, Mrs. King has received many other awards and recognitions throughout the course of her career. She received the Rose Pettit Award for Top Graduate Student at Nazareth College, the Yearbook Dedication from the students at Joanna Perrin, and the Crystal Apple Award from her colleagues. She also received an award for being an amazing advocate for students with disabilities. Mrs. King has spoken at multiple conferences about the STAR program and JP's RTI process. She was nominated as an outstanding adjunct professor at St. John Fisher College, and she helped JP earn a School to Watch recognition twice. Mrs. King earned her bachelor's degree in both elementary education and exceptional education from Buffalo State College and her master's degree in special education from Nazareth College. Because of her background in special education, Mrs. King is always looking for new and engaging ways to help her students truly understand what she is teaching. Which leads me to one of Mrs. King's fondest memories. Teaching with Dennis Ernst with the goal of making their projects interdisciplinary and allowing students to make memories by being fully immersed in what they are learning. She said that students always come back to visit her and talk about how much fun activities like the Roman feast and chariot races were. Mrs. King told me that she loves to see kids excited about what they're learning. Mrs. King is always looking out for students who might need a little extra help or guidance when it comes to school. She served as the strategic learning specialist at Joanna Perrin, supporting students working with parents and the mental health staff to find ways to make their learning experience a successful one. She has also done a lot of work in helping ease the transition for students from 5th grade to 6th grade by hosting luncheons for elementary and middle school teachers and administrators to collaborate and move forward. In receiving this honor, Mrs. King would like to thank her husband, Stephen, for always supporting her through all of her professional decisions and being her biggest fan, her son, Matthew, for his compassion, fairness, and loyalty, and her daughter, Maggie, for her kindness, empathy, and incredible talents, both academically and athletically. Mrs. King would also like to thank her mom and dad, who always believed in her and her work, her brother, John, and niece, Christina, for always supporting her and her family, Eileen Horak, who nominated her for this honor, all the incredible administrators and colleagues she has had the opportunity to work with, the parents who have partnered with her to help find success for their children, and finally, all of the students she has taught, coached, or advised. She loves and appreciates each and every one of you so very much. And now, Mrs. King, I would like to thank you for inspiring me. In just a few short months, I hope to be studying childhood education on my way to becoming a teacher like you. I just met you, but you have taught me so much in such a short amount of time. I aspire to be as passionate and committed as you are after 28 years. Your love of teaching is absolutely contagious, and I'm so thankful to have had the opportunity to meet you. Thank you for all that you have done for Joanna Perrin and the Fairport community. All of your work can be summed up in this quote from Maya Angelou that you shared with me. I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. You have made a lasting impact on the lives of every student, parent, teacher, and administrator that you have worked with. Congratulations on this honor, Mrs. King. Fairport is lucky to have you.
Abby Kirkezi, last but not least, please come and recognize and celebrate the work of Jean Hutchings Whitney.
Mrs. Whitney was always fiercely committed to her students. She considered their needs and sought out wide to help them. She loved connecting the real world with the classroom. She has an adventurous spirit and loves to discover things in the world. She researches, advocates, and works hard to make Fairport a better place. These are a couple ways to describe Mrs. Whitney through the eyes of the person who nominated her, Mr. Nate Reuter. Mrs. Jean Whitney taught earth science at Martha Brown and Minerva DeLand from 1985 to 2005, making that a total of 20 years of impacting students. After teaching, she embarked on student teaching for grades 7 through 12 for an additional 12 years before officially retiring. Mrs. Whitney had lived in Fairport her whole life. During her early life, she had attended Midvale School. She also had spent 1 year at East Avenue School while the schools were being centralized in 1952. After that, grades 7 through the start of 11, she attended the old West Avenue High School until the transfer to Minerva DeLand, where she graduated in 1960. Yes, Minerva DeLand was a high school until it moved to the 9th grade building, which is weird for me to think about. After graduation, she attended the University of Rochester and received her graduate degree at SUNY Brockport. She doesn't know what field she would have gone into if it wasn't for teaching. She absolutely loved it and wouldn't have chosen a different career. One of her proudest accomplishments is her master's thesis, which she wrote about why students do not like earth science. To her findings, she actually discovered that the students did not like the teacher. So from then on, her goal was to make her students love the course and do well in it. She loved teaching the course and made it fun for her students. In 1994, she received the Crystal Apple Award at Minerva DeLand. And the Crystal Apple Award is a recognition by colleagues as a Teacher of the Year. She also was the department head at both schools. She was like a mom to the department, caring for every coworker and their families. According to Mr. Reuter, that's how he felt about her. Another accomplishment she recalled was helping move the library over to Minerva upon its opening. This gave her the idea later on how to transfer the public library to where it is now. One of her fondest memories is that there was an almost total eclipse on the spring of 1994. She gave her classes the solar eclipse goggles, and they all went outside and enjoyed, looked, and learned from the eclipse. Another fond memory is on Earth Day, she would bring her classes out, and they would plant bulbs in the courtyard at Minerva DeLand. It was always a fun day for her and her students. Mrs. Whitney loved Fairport, and all of the community and the residents had given to her over the past 75 years. She's now trying to give back through becoming very involved and committing to the historic preservation of the village. She has served on several committees to the Fairport Public Library and volunteers at the Parrington Historical Museum. She wants to promote Fairport as a good and healthy place for the future families and students. Mrs. Whitney would like to recognize and thank Mr. Nate Reuter for nominating her for this award. They taught together at Minerva DeLand, and she enjoyed working with him as well as learning from the way he approached the course. Mrs. Whitney would also like to honor Mrs. Donna Design, who unfortunately has passed away, but she had impacted her in a positive way. Mrs. Whitney did not have a good student teaching job, student teaching experience, and Mrs. Design helped Mrs. Whitney get started as a substitute teacher. Mrs. Design gave her the confidence she needed to return back to the classroom. Finally, she would like to thank her good friend, Miss Patty Wynn, who she worked at Martha Brown. They learned from each other, helped each other, and always proved that two heads are better than one. Finally, one word of advice she gave is not to give up and to find a mentor to help you succeed. She has definitely not given up, and this award reflects how hard she had worked as a teacher and part of the Fairport community. Mrs. Whitney, congratulations on this award.
To all those who are here to celebrate and honor the family members that are here tonight, this is your award too. I know they would say that too. Through all the grading of papers, through all the cases that have come through that weigh heavily on their minds, through the organizing that needs to take place, the daily lesson plans, the administrators who mess with their stuff. Right? It's your award too, and you should celebrate. And we thank you for supporting and loving, because we know behind every great story there's an incredible supporting and loving cast. So please give yourselves a big round of applause. I honor and recognize you. I would like to thank our donors for this evening: the Fairport Administrative Association, the Fairport Educators Association, the Fairport Retired Educators Association, Fairport Central Association of School Support Personnel, Fairport District Paraprofessionals, ME Engineering, and Campus Construction Management Group. Thank you for your donations to this incredibly important and worthy cause. Because of those donations, we're able to have this. So please, round of applause. Mark Twain said it well: to laugh often and much, to win respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition, to know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded. Well, Betsy, Janet, Jean, and Dennis, you are succeeding mightily. And we are proud to call you colleagues and friends. Thank you for sharing your uniqueness and richness of heart. It has distinguished your persona and professional practice and bears your passions to make a difference in Fairport and, most importantly, to the lives of others. So thank you. I would like to have Mayor Fritz May please come forward to have some closing remarks. Fritz May.
Well, congratulations. I'm always impressed with the descriptions of what you've done in your careers and your dedication. We know as educators that it's all about kids. We're not the important people during the day. It's the kids who are important and the impact that we have. Well, it's always a pleasure to attend on an evening like this, where we're recognizing and honoring those individuals who have made such a lasting impact on the students and the Fairport schools. Of course, the reason Fairport schools are so highly regarded is due to the professionalism of all the employees, regardless of whether you're teachers or custodians or administrators or cafeteria workers or whatever secretaries, whatever aspect. You're all important in making the school function, and you're all important parts of the student involvement, the student end product. The examples that you all set are huge impacts on the students you work with, and those impacts last their whole lives. So you're really here all the way through from kindergarten on, but you're here shaping their lives and setting that example. I was reading the letters of nomination, and even though I didn't know 3 of you, I was really impressed as I went through seeing words that kept coming through and through and through. Words like dedicated, passionate, students first, timeless efforts, professional, energy, enthusiasm, and quality. These attributes are a natural part of a successful person, not only in their jobs, but in every aspect of their lives. Just think, if the world was filled totally with people like the people we keep honoring, what a great place it would be to live in. It's not always the case, right? But it would be great. It's always rewarding when a student, or some of your other students, in another 10, 15, 20, 30 years come back. They see you someplace and they say, you had such an impact on my life. And at the time you may not have thought that was happening. But it really does happen, and you play that role, and you're very important in it. But it's kind of cool when you meet up with somebody at the airport or in a shopping center or someplace. I met up with a student on a trip to England, and you get this feedback that makes you feel kind of good that you really have influenced. And so we go on. Educators are forever educators. You never quit. Okay, well, unfortunately, Janet and Dennis and Betsy, I haven't met you before tonight, so I will meet you afterwards. But Gene Whitney I've known for a long time. Gene and I met in junior high at the old West Avenue School. We graduated together from Minerva DeLand in 1960. We went our separate ways for college and maybe a little bit after that, but then Gene and I, along with a lot of other members of our 1960 graduating class, moved back to Fairport to raise our families, and we all pretty much took on roles in the community and the life of the community. That's pretty nice. I think it's well, Jean did all this teaching, right? And she finally decided to retire. So I nabbed her at that appropriate time to become a member of the Historic Preservation Commission in the village of Fairport. And of course, Jean brought all the same attributes she used when she was teaching. She was dedicated, she loved researching, and she spent hours and hours and hours, probably even more hours than she needed to, but she loved what she was doing so much that she dug into these properties that we were going to designate as historic structures in the village, because what's that do? It protects the community that you are living in. It protects your investments. It protects Fairport from Henrietta or Fairport from Webster. You're unique in your own ways, and Jean understood the importance of preserving that. So, Jean, I want to thank you for all your hard work. You chaired that commission for 3 years, and you were a huge loss when you left that. So, thanks again for all of your work. So, a special thanks to you, all of you, for what you have done and for being you. For being there to help the Fairport students achieve their very best potential. And congratulations on being recognized this evening for your outstanding jobs that you've done over the years, and for being inducted into the Wall of Distinction. Congratulations.
I think it's important to recognize our incredible student speakers. They always have the ability to speak the truth. In just a short while, they were able to really get to the heart of the matter. They met their nominees on Tuesday, was it, or Monday? Spent about 45 minutes with them, and this is what they produced. So great job, wonderful job, thank you. I would like to invite everyone to the unveiling of the new Education Wall of Distinction right by our auditorium. There's a new setup, and we're excited to share that with you, and there'll be the unveiling and an opportunity to visit with each other. So I think we're going to dismiss now, and we're going to head down to the auditorium. Thank you. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. Diane? Yep. Pictures.